Wanted to ask you about Ripple, because if I didn't know about you, I wouldn't know anything about Ripple. You're always talking about Ripple.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is Ripple and what are the important things happening with Ripple? Obviously, they have been targeted by the SEC for the last few years. What do we need to know about Ripple? What can we learn from Ripple?
Yeah, so Ripple is the company, Ripple Labs, based in San Francisco. Brad Garlinghouse is the CEO. A lot of people probably know that. Maybe some people don't. XRP is the token of the Ripple ecosystem, if you will. And you also have something called XRPL, which a lot of people aren't really familiar with because they hear Ripple and they shut down. They don't like it, whatever the case may be. XRPL is the XRP ledger, which is, for all intents and purposes, a layer one. But they don't have smart contracts in the same way that other layer ones have smart contracts. That's kind of the one thing that separates it, but it's completely decentralized. So you might hear people throw out words like centralization when it comes to Ripple or XRP. Well, that doesn't apply at all to XRPL. That's a totally decentralized ledger. It's a totally decentralized blockchain that runs basically concurrently with XRP. But the fact is that what Ripple is trying to do is replace Swift. And I think this is really the best way to break this down. Okay. Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a network of value. What does that mean? That means that when I send you Bitcoin, I'm literally sending you value. If I send you one Bitcoin, you can look at it in a lot of different ways. I sent you one Bitcoin. I sent you $20,000 worth of Bitcoin. There's a lot of different ways to break that down and look at it, but I'm sending you value, okay? Ripple is the same thing. XRP is a token on the Ripple network that is a network of value. When you look at the current banking infrastructure that we have today, it uses Swift. I can't ever remember what Swift stands for. I don't even really care. But what Swift is it is a way for banks to send money back and forth cross-border. But is that really true? Are they really sending money? No, they're not. Why? Swift is what we call a network of information. It is basically like sending, like let's say I wanted to send you, Brian, I wanted to send you $100, okay? But before I actually sent you the money, I've got to go to my bank account. I got to wire it, or I got to go find the $100 bill, whatever it is. But in the meantime, I just happen to be at a gift store and I grab a postcard and I scribble on the card, "Hey, Brian, I'm sending you $100. And I mail that to you. You get that ahead of time. You see that. You're like, "Oh, he's sending me $100. Cool. That's good information." But what did you really receive? Nothing. I didn't actually send you $100. All you have basically is a receipt saying, "Hey, by the way, I'm sending you that money." So that's the way our banking system works today. It uses the Swift network to transfer money everywhere, but it's not actually transferring the money. All it's doing is saying, it's like Jim Carrey with, in Dumb and Dumber saying like, "Hey, I got all these IOUs. They're basically as good as cash." Like, no, they're representations of value, but it's actually just information you're sending back and forth. So what does that mean? That means that every time this money gets sent informationally, people on the back end have to go around and find a way to physically send the money. That means you're going to be able to cut a lot of jobs out of the banking world. You're going to be able to cut a lot of time out of transactions. Because think about this, how much faster could you spend that $100 if I just sent you the $100 instead of sending you a postcard? Well, you could spend it immediately. What this is going to do is this is going to take it from where it's 5 to 7 days to physically receive money that has been sent cross-border to like 30 minutes or less. That's the difference. You're talking about literally over 100 hours worth of difference in sending money around the world. And so that's really what they're trying to do. A lot of people don't like Ripple. Why? They don't like Ripple because it's helping the banks. Do I like banks? No. I absolutely hate banks. I thought it was ironic when I was in Alaska that I was in a town called Fairbanks. What an oxymoron, right? No such thing as a fair bank out there.
Amen.
They're all scam. They're all insolvent, just like Celsius was. The only difference is the government helps them hide it a little better. So I don't like banks. But let's face facts, guys. Banks are not going away tomorrow. There's so many people in crypto that want the revolution today. They want the revolution today. They want the change. That's not how change works. Look at the American Revolution. That didn't take a day. Look at the French Revolution. That didn't take a day. Look at, basically throwing out the leadership of the Roman Catholic Church at the peak of its evil when it was controlling, when people couldn't read and didn't have the printing press. It didn't take a day. It takes a long time. And I'm much more realistic, I believe, on my timeline for crypto. I think Bitcoin will be the world reserve currency. It's like 50 years down the road at least. I don't think it's happening tomorrow. But the people that want it to happen today, and it comes from a good place because they want change because they see the flaws of the system, but it's not realistic. So what do we want to do? Well, let's swim with the whales. And we see a lot of money flowing into XRP. And we see a lot going on, with banking contracts and all these deals and partners that Ripple Labs is making, even though they got the SEC lawsuit. Let's swim with the whales. And what I found is the XRP community is freaking awesome. I love those people. I love the XRP army. They've been great to me and great to the channel. And I think they're good people. And for years, a lot of us made fun of them. And I feel bad about that because I think it's going to turn out they were right and a lot of us were wrong. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to learn that and get on the right side of history. So one of the big problems that people would say about Ripple or about XRP is that it was centralized. Well, there was certainly a time where, the majority of the nodes were owned by Ripple Labs, but that's not true anymore, first and foremost. Second, we have the XRPL, completely decentralized. And third, what I would say on top of that is that, when it comes, I lost my train of thought, Brian. What was the third thing? I can't remember the third thing. But the point here is that people would look at that and they would call it centralized. But that's just really not the case anymore. One of the criticisms that people would give towards Ripple Labs was to say that you don't have to use XRP to use the Ripple products. And there was a time where that was correct. They used to have three products. It was Xcurrent, XVIA, and XRapid. And you could actually unload kind of almost like a POS, like a point of sale system in the banking world onto your bank, and you could run it without having the XRP token settle everything. Well, Ripple got smart and realized that's not good. And so they changed the branding of their products. They now only have two products. They call it RippleNet and ODL, which stands for on-demand liquidity. And you are going to have to use the XRP token to settle on those networks. And so they kind of fixed that problem. That was one of the big talking points that a lot of people used all the time against Ripple. And it's just not true anymore. And I really encourage people to go get educated on what Ripple is today compared to what it was a few years ago. And you'll see there's been a lot of changes and the community is awesome. And so, just to wrap up the SEC lawsuit here, what is happening? We're seeing the final throes of this thing. They accused them of an illegal token sale, but now we're seeing the SEC kind of pivot and say, well, maybe the sale itself wasn't illegal. Maybe XRP is not a security, but we don't like the way you marketed it. And really what they're just trying to do is they are trying to get, they're trying to get money from Ripple. They want a big fine. They want a big settlement because that's what the SEC does, is they rule through enforcement and they get money. That's why their budget is so much bigger than the CFTC. And so I think we are in the final stages of this. I still think we don't see the end of this thing probably till Q2 of next year. It's unfortunate. Wish it would happen sooner than that. But really, the longer this drags out, the better it's going to be for the price because we want this to happen after Bitcoin bottoms. Then you might actually get a little more sustained price action. And I will tell you, we were very infamous for saying this thing was going to end in September of last year, and it didn't happen. But I do know someone who swears, and this is someone I know personally, this is not some random person that messaged me, that Brad Garlinghouse told him face to face that they turned down a settlement from the SEC in 2021. Why? Because Brad Garlinghouse knows they have the SEC by the balls. And I believe this is actually the beginning of the end of the SEC and crypto enforcement.
The greedy bankers are about to do it again. In 2008, they crashed our financial system and nearly bankrupted the entire global economy. Then they received trillions of dollars in government bailouts. And after, they demanded fat bonuses paid for by you, the taxpayer.
It turns out the banks haven't just been screwing the American taxpayers, they're also screwing over their investors. Turns out the banking industry is the worst place you could put your money, despite enormous taxpayer bailouts.
Now the bankers are back to take away your financial freedom. They lie and tell you that cryptocurrency isn't safe. They try to make it illegal for you to choose how to invest your hard-earned money. They lie and say cryptocurrency is used by money launderers and criminals. But look at the record. It's the banks themselves that launder hundreds of billions of dollars every year to the biggest criminal operations in the world.
Leaked documents have revealed how some UK banks have helped criminals, money launderers and Russians under sanctions.
American authorities discovered that the Sinaloa cartel moved $881 million through HSBC accounts as bank officials turned a blind eye to the illegality.
The bankers lie and say cryptocurrency is not a real investment. Meanwhile, the smartest CEOs in the world are buying billions and billions of it. The truth is that banks lie about cryptocurrency because it makes them scared. The banks take $9 trillion per year of your hard-earned money, and they are worried that they will finally be exposed. They're scared because crypto means they can no longer control your money, which means they can no longer control you. They are scared because you might actually understand your money and intelligently decide what to do with it. Now is the time for us to come together, fight back, and take control. It's time to educate ourselves, our families, and our communities. Because financial education means financial freedom. We know that cryptocurrencies will help us build the new decentralized financial system of the future. A banking system that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. A banking system where access to finance is a fundamental human right. A banking system that is free and fair and welcomes all humans on this earth. The DeFi revolution is happening. We, the people, can no longer be fooled. We choose to take control of our finances. We choose to take control of our freedom. We choose to take control of our future. Join us, and let's take back our financial freedom forever.